What is up, my little deinos? Vepsis, your host of the Helsinki Hydreigons, and we are here for the BFO Surge WIFI tournament draft analysis for my end. We're gonna be showing you my team of 6 out of 8 maximum Pokemon that I could have been able to draft in this tournament in itself. I was given 45 points to spend within 6 to 8 Pokemon in a draft league game, meta game that we are gonna be playing in the Wi-Fi scene on the Brilliant, Diamond, and Shining Pro, as I have to always think very carefully like which way around they actually go as their names, but it's basically a remix of the Gen 4 Sinnoh meta games in itself that have been introduced to us lately. And the meta game is very different to that we have gotten used to in the Sword and Shield, because we are gonna be losing a lot of moves that we normally would get access to with the Pokemon that are in these decks, and we lost a lot of the key items as well that we like to use in draft league format, like Weakness Policy, Rocky Helmet, Heavy Duty Boots, Eviolite, Assault Vest. All those important items are basically gone at this point for us to get access to. Then a lot of key moves like Toxic, Knockoff, even some Elemental Punches like Ice Punch and Fire Punch, etc. Those are also gone from the moves that normally got access to, and several other key moves that other moves that did lose access to. So this is a pretty interesting format in a way that a lot of moves got crippled, more or less, and it's up to you to try to figure out how to make the best out of them in this kind of format, especially when the meta game is gonna be a lot different when you're playing 4 versus 4 compared to the 6 versus 6 singles draft league format that you have seen me battling throughout my entire career in this channel. So it's gonna be very new and different for me to get into, and hopefully it's exciting for you as well, because I'll say this right now about my drafting and playing style going to this tournament. It's gonna be a lot more offensive and creative therefore as well that you have seen thus far in my channel when I usually go with very strong bulky offense or balance builds for my end. So it's gonna be a lot different and exciting hopefully for you to see. But now let's go through the team in itself. I got to actually get access to the first overall pick with the pool of 8 people that I'm drafting with, myself included as the 8th person, but I got the first overall pick. And going to the first game, spending out 45 points that we were given, we were able to use those points between the 10-pointer all the way to the 1-pointers that were given to us in this deck in itself. So take a guess right now before we jump any further that what do you think from the 10 or 9-point category, which I'll say right now it's one of the most between those, that what did you think that I was going for as my first overall pick, because I don't think it's gonna be something that people will be guessing too well if they don't know. So I'm interested to see for those that leave a comment that actually try to predict which one it ends up being, that how many of you get it right. But my thought progress going to this first overall pick was that I wanted to pick something that I see myself keeping entire tournament, because as the tournament goes along, we get, after every battle has been played, the opportunity to upgrade our roster with the points that we are given. For example, after first game has been played, we are being given 10 more extra points to spend on, and we can actually pick Pokemon from the 12 or 11-point category for our game 2 battle. So it's very interesting format. I actually never played this kind of format before, where you start with the low tier Pokemon and you actually upgrade them. Let alone, again, like I said, the 4 versus 4 format makes you think very different how you would draft normally was. At least for me it kinda did that. So basically, like I said, I wanted to get a Pokemon that I see myself keeping throughout the entire tournament, because the typing is so rare and I value it very highly, and that is going to be a ground type. So the first overall pick that I end up doing, that I don't think anybody else would have done this before, but I wanted to try this Pokemon in draft league format sooner than later, and that is going to be Rhyperior. Rhyperior in itself, I think, I do believe at least it's a worthwhile taking wise, because there weren't too many great ground types when it goes from 10-point and below. The next best thing was Steelix, and after that God knows what was best thing after Steelix even as a ground type. So I thought because of that I wanted to really have Rhyperior, because I do value ground type to be the best offensive typing in draft league format, and one of the key typings to having draft league format in general as well. So I think I said as well like 2 or 3 times in that sentence, so I apologize for my rambling, but if you've been my channel, you know my English is definitely not my first language, so pardon my English being pretty much a potato. But regardless of that, we digress and move forward talking about Rhyperior's move pool, because it's actually not that bad anymore. Even though it lost some of its key moves like Ice Punch and Fire Punch and whatever, it still kept some of its ice covers like Ice Fangs and Fire Fangs, And I also get Avalanche, which I thought was actually pretty key, because Rhyperior itself is kind of slow as balls as it is. So getting a 120 base power Avalanche is not that big of a deal as it is, because you're gonna be always going slower with it, and this thing is gonna be going slower than its opponent most of the time anyways. And thanks to the Solid Rock ability, which is gonna be hindering the super effective moves coming into my way by, it's gonna be only 3rd out of 4 damage normally. And consider its attack stat, its HP stat, the fact that I can still run reducing berries like Pasho Berry I could run easily on this, or Rindo Berry, getting a lot less damage taken from its quite effective weaknesses that it has to Water and Crash. So I think Rhyperior in itself is a very strong mon in itself still in this metagame. And I love the fact that it can also function as a very strong lead, that it can take any one hit from my opponent and it can dish a lot bigger hit back. And I love that about Rhyperior, that it fits a bulky offense style, that if I choose to go that route, and it can function also in a Trick Room if I end up drafting a Trick Room setter. So the next member on my team is one of those potential Trick Room setters that I was looking after being messed with, and this was a mod that I saw a lot of people even picking first overall. Shoutouts to Shaco King who actually ended up doing this, and I'm very surprised that, like many others were, that this was falling to me in end of round 2 within my draft pool in itself, because this Pokemon arguably was one of the best ones to be drafted in the round 1 games, but I'm very happy that I get to have it. Because again, like I said, it gives me access to Trick Room. It still gets access to very key coverage like Volt Beam in itself, both Ice Beam and Thunderbolt. And I can say right now that Ice Beam became a lot rarer move than it normally was in this kind of metagame market. Water types obviously kept it for the most part, but other monsters that weren't like Water or Ice types did not end up keeping it. Probably like something like Mesprit in itself, or Mew, or Latios, or etc. So they're like, there aren't too many that get access to strong ice moves, essentially, which is my point. So giving access to that and access to Nasty Plot, and considering the fact that Assault Vest are gone, Nasty Plot 3 attacks Mesprit can be a very huge weapon as well. And I do get access to Crocs for first of my 2 picks in itself. And even though Hazards I don't think it's gonna be the key member or the key aspect of this metagame, even Heavy Duty Boots being gone, it's always nice to have Stealth Crocs to able to break potential focus asses or sturdies or whichever I would have to get, or potentially that 12% extra chip might be key for some of my other members to pull off a sweep on the Trick Room or outside of the Trick Room in itself. But Mesprit, very solid mod what it can do, can function multiple different ways, and pairs very well with the Rhyperior covering its fighting and ground weakness in itself. And speaking of those weaknesses, we also gain some immunities to those as well with the Mismagius. Look at that translation from there. I'm pretty proud of that, so let's keep this trend going. So Mismagius in itself, we have a very much a mod that I do think that didn't lose basically any coverage that it normally was running. Like obviously it's getting its stab at Shadow Ball, it gets the Dazzling Gleam still for the Dark type in itself, it still gets access to Energy Ball if I want to run that, Mystical Fire, which is very big deal because many things did lose that, Power Gem, which is very cool move to have, which is very rare on most things that get access to. Also the fact that it gets still access to Thunderbolt, and it can still Will-O-Wisp, Thunder Wave. It's a very fast taunter as well as a potential lead, and it gives me also Memento support. So I have Memento support from Mismagius, and I also have Healing Wish support, which this thing got access to as well. So we have a lot of different ways to kind of function as an offensive team, and considering all my first 3 picks, all of them I can see working very well in 4 versus 4 lead matchup, which I think is a very important to have, that you have to have multiple different mons that can lead well versus your opponent. You want to have multiple options, I think at least. But I'm saying this as someone that never has played this format before, so don't take my opinion to the heart necessarily, because I'm the same person you have seen from my channel that has had a relatively good success in draft league format thus far. But when it comes to this format, I have to kind of guess, kind of take an educated guess, if you could say that, when it comes to things that I think will work in this format. But I don't have the experience to back them up necessarily. That's what we are here to find out together, that how well these theories that I have will work out in itself. But besides all that, let's move on to my 4th pick, which ended up being Machamp. And I'm spending quite a bit of points as well, because let's go back to the tier in itself. Thus far I have picked Rhyperior, which is 10-pointer, Mesprit, that was also a 10-pointer, Machamp, which is a 9-pointer, and Miss Maggie's that is 8 pointer. And I was given 45 points. So after all that, without you having to do any kind of mathematics right there while you're watching this, I only have 8 points remaining, and I have to still pick 2 more Pokemon at very least. Potentially even 4 if I wanted to go full on 8. So I'm spending very heavily on the top when it comes to my drafting style for this tournament. But I think, consider if you get Machamp, Miss Magius, Mesprit and Rhyperior all together in a one team, I can see keeping these throughout the entire tournament, and consider it's 4 versus 4. I don't care if people try to predict that these are the 4 Pokemon I bring to my battles. You have to prepare for all of 4 of those, and it's not gonna be easy, and I can do multiple different things with them. And Machamp also fits into that Trick Room element that Mesprit being able to set up for me works very well on it. And you're gonna be seeing this actually without spoiling my week 1 battle too much. I did end up using this thing on the Trick Room alongside with Rhyperior, so you're gonna be seeing that aspect of my team very early on in this tournament, how I kind of vision it to work. But coming into Machamp in itself, why I picked it otherwise, is basically because it kept some of the key coverage that multiple different mods didn't get access to, which is Knockoff as a Dark Stab, well not Dark Stab but Dark coverage, and be able to actually get rid of items, because Knockoff became a lot rarer move that it used to be before this. And Ice Punch, similar to Ice Beam, also is a lot more rarer move as it is before in itself. So getting access to these moves are pretty key. Besides the fact that it can still take fairy types if we ever run into those, which are also very rare typing in itself in this kind of format and this decks in itself. But we get access to still hit them very hard. We can still run Guts Flame up on this, which is a very strong breaker in itself. And I do also have a good way to lure in bulky steel types or rock types with Mesprit here with access to U-turn still, and the following member of my team that also kind of lures in those kind of typings, kind of going to my 5th pick, which is one of my budget picks, which is gonna be Ambipom from 3 points. Now you wonder, like, why is Ambipom ever 3 points? It's a pretty decent considering its attack stat and its speed here. Well, in Diamond Pearl and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, as I have to always pause to think which way around I should be saying them. That remakes metagame. This monkey, at least before Home comes out, access to this game is very crippled monkey, I will tell you that. It doesn't get access to almost anything anymore. So you might be wondering, why the heck do you even pick this thing? The reason is that I still value its speed here, even as a 3-pointer. I still have access to Technician Fake Out, and if there's no type of resistance to normal, Fake Out Last Resort Ambipom as a 3-pointer I think is a very valuable weapon to have if I have the right matchup. But even if I don't get access to that kind of shenanigans to run on it, I can still run a double hit on it. I can still run Fake Out, U-turn, and depending on if there's a Ghost type or a Steel type or whatever, I run the proper cover still, like a Shadow Claw or Prick Break for example, to hit them. But most importantly, it gets access to U-turn and Fake Out, because U-turn can allow me to get the initiative to lure in that bulky, slow Ghost type that Miss Magius can nuke with Shadow Ball. And considering how much better special attackers are in this format, being able to get Miss Magius in more often than not in a favorable position is better for me. And most importantly, it pairs very well with the Machamp, because then bulky rock types or bulky steel types that my opponent may try to bring versus me, considering I have Ambipom and Mesprit, I can lure them in with go for a U-turn, and then I can go into my Machamp or Rhyperior even respectively, and they can get up a huge hit to my opponent, and I can position myself favorably every time offensively wise that way, playing them wise. So I think Ambipom fits pretty well in that. And then the last member of my team that I spent all my 5 points remaining was actually Kadabra. The big reason you already see that what it's holding is because this is a very good failsafe offensively wise versus a lot of different self sweepers that I saw. Either they are based on weather, like, so some people run it like right now in round 1 games, they're gonna be running like manual weather in like sun or rain in itself. So Kadabra can be able to check those, because a lot of times the sun sweepers are either Venusaur or Victory Ball, which are weak to my stab being Psychic. Which also this thing gets access to Psyshock as well, which is pretty big as well. And when we talk about Rain, we still get access to Energy Ball or even Crash Knot, even if that's able to hit harder. This thing gets also access to multiple different moves like Knockoff itself, Thunder Wave, teleport, taunt, but teleport is pretty bad on Kadabra, but like, I don't know why I hover that, but maybe as an initiative, I really feel ballsy that they swap out, I do get the free initiative instead of dying in front of them. But it also gets access to still Dashing Gleam as to be able to hit those dark types if I run into them. So I do still think that Kadabra in this meta game, and besides the fact that it can also be the life offset as well, if I so choose to. So I think Kadabra, even though it adds a lot of weaknesses that already existed on my roster, like to Dark and Psychic, again, I'm expecting to be a lot more offensive metagame, so I'm not gonna worry about too much like what do I have resistance for, what I need to wall necessary. It's all about can I actually check them and not get swept by them. Do I have tools to beat my opposing threats with my own offense? That's kind of the way I think you kind of have to play in this format. You cannot just sit there and try to stall them out, because then you're risking the timer working against you essentially, or them just bring out strong enough sweeper that you cannot stop with your walls anymore. So I kind of like the team in itself, how it's gonna look, especially the top 4 half is gonna be something I see myself using throughout the entire tournament. Expect me to be dropping one of the Kadabra or the Ambipom sooner than later. Already even at game 2 I can see myself dropping one of them, but you're going to get to see that later on as we go. I have already played my week 1 battle that you have kind of seen a little bit of teasers in this video, but the battle itself fully will go live on this upcoming Sunday, so stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed, make sure you are subscribed so you won't be missing out on that. And throughout this entire tournament I will plan to upload this on Sundays, even though this is going up on a Tuesday. But within 5 days you get to see the week 1 battle, and from there on out you're gonna be seeing my battles every single Sunday until you're gonna be seeing me back on normal like Sword and Shield Draft League, because I am already signed in for another Draft League, but that will not start until 2022, which is like early, like 2022 January is where you can expect me to be part of like a full-fledged draft league in itself. So consider this like a side content for my channel throughout this December. This will end up going further than December in itself, so this will be going throughout the January as well if I go long in this tournament, but I don't think that really bothers you too much. So that's just got extra content potentially at January, but as for December, this is what I'm gonna be having in my channel pretty much, with focusing on this BFO Surge weekly wise. So thank you for watching, stay tuned for these battles that I'm very excited for to be playing, and hopefully you are as well to be seeing them. But until next Sunday, this upcoming Sunday in 5 days, thank you for watching, and I'm gonna be seeing you guys later.